There's a misconception in weightlifting and in fitness that if someone looks fit and looks strong, that they're healthy. That's just plain wrong. And in this video, I'm gonna show you why. Hey, it's Drew Dillon from Project Lift, and in today's video, we're looking at health in weightlifting. This subject is vital, and it actually came up with a local coach here in Ohio reached out to me. We were just having a conversation of stuff that was going on with some of his athletes around the current environment today. And I really want to highlight this subject because it's vital to our training. If we don't have health, we're not going to have good training. We're not going to have a good life. So let's break into this subject, guys. Now, I know if you're watching this channel, if you're watching this video, you probably want to get better at weightlifting. So check out our guide, How to Improve Your Olympic Lifts Now. It's free. It'll support you today. And guys, when this video helps you today, make sure you pay it forward. Share it with a friend, subscribe, and hit that thumbs up button because it helps. All right, health in weightlifting. Now, where we need to start is to realize that health is a very individual thing. And because of that, each of us needs to learn our individual bodies. We need to understand ourselves, and there's a lot of ways to do that. And the first area that we're gonna peek at are our goals. All of our goals are different. It's safe to say that most of us, when we go to the gym, want to make gains in some way, but have you taken a moment to really look at what gains you wanna make and why? So what is your goal? That's where we need to start. Are you aiming for an international team? Are you aiming for super high level weightlifting, right? Well, things that are going to happen, the decisions you're going to need to make are going to be much different than someone who's looking to learn these lifts for fun and want to have more energy in their life and a more resilient body. So there's going to be some different decisions in there, and there's going to be some similar decisions. Now, when I say learning your body, how can you do this? You do this through your training. You do this with your coaches. You do this with your doctor. So finding relationships, nutritionists, there's all sorts of learning that is our responsibility to go into our body. What foods work with you? What food sensitivities do you have? How is your sleep? All of these things, it's on you to answer. And the coach is there to provide guidance. The coach is there to provide support and helping you understand this. And good coaches will always lead you to more resources when you get outside of their realm of expertise. So find yourself a good coach, find yourself a good doctor, and find yourself great supporting roles, whether it's nutritionalists, dietitians, physical therapists, chiropractors, whatever it is. They're all opportunities for you to understand your individual body so you can know your individual health. When we look at health and training and weightlifting, we need to talk about stress. Stress is the biggest driver of disease. And there's multiple different forms. And I think this is really important. I'm going to actually show you guys a slide that I've learned from Paul Chek. And I think it's just so simple. Why recreate it? It's beautifully shown here that stress comes in the factor of 4 different channels. There's physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, and spiritual stress. Now here's the kicker for all of you watching. It doesn't matter where the stress comes in at. It affects all the other sinks here in this slide, right? It all gets piped together. So you may be wondering why, shit hitting the fan at work is all of a sudden you're not moving as well in the gym. Let's just put that on mental stress, right? You got a whole lot bigger workload and you're just grinding away at work. You're not going to move as well physically. Just like if you came into the gym and we did one of those stupid workouts of like death buys, plug it in. I know you know what I'm talking about. And you try to go for some good technique training the next day. You had so much physical stress on your body, things ain't going to be moving well, right? You have a loss in your family. This can hit both the emotional or the spiritual, right? We're all different, but understanding that when stress is coming in, especially a big peak of high stress, it's absolutely going to affect our training and affect our bodies. And this is for us each individually to tune into, because we're all going to deal with stress differently. We're all going to deal with stress in the different sections differently. And those are on us to understand and to respond to. The next area of health that I really want to look at is I'm really focusing it on fear. And I see fear drive so many of us and affect so much of our health. And I'm going to explain how. So when we look at some of the driven behavior, right, that behavior that we're pushing through for whatever reason, it's often dictated by fear. Now let's use a couple examples in the gym. Right? Fear drives us to overtrain. The fear is, well, if I rest today, am I going to lose my gains? Am I going to fall behind? What does that mean about me? Does it mean that I'm weak? Shouldn't I be able to push through? Right? Here's this fear. And it really depends how you want to peel the onion back around what's going on, what's the core of that onion, what's the core of that fear for you to look into. Because if you're involved in driven behavior where you're doing things that are out of alignment of your best interest, right? Because if you've trained, say you just came from a big competition, you did great. Why in the world would you go in the next day and destroy yourself? What's going on there? What is the fear? What is the story? Because that doesn't align with your goal unless your goal is to absolutely destroy yourself. And if that's the goal, then we have an opportunity to really dig in and look, what is going on? When we look at fear, we also see the lack of connection to ourselves. Fear pushes away from hearing what our body is truly asking for. So again, if we're in that driven behavior where we need to push through, we need to, go to the gym, we have all these stories. And when I say stories, they're just made up narratives around why that we have to do this. And if you really start to dissect them, you start to realize where they come from and ultimately how you created them. But coming back to that, the losing connection with yourself is the key component to understanding health for you. How do you feel? What do you need right now? What foods affect you? Are you so hyped up on caffeine that you're unable to feel what you just ate and what it's doing to you? And that's a personal story for me. I was so hyped up on caffeine in the past, I couldn't tell how a meal affected me. The second I got off caffeine, I could tell when I would have a meal and if I would feel energy from it, or if I would feel that crash a little bit after. And that gives you some valuable information about your body. So tuning into fear and starting to understand the sources of your fear, understand the driven behavior, is all about getting connection to yourself, because I tell my athletes all the time, our bodies are our greatest resource of information for our training. If you can give your body what you need, if you can push when it's time to push, if you can recover when it's time to recover, you will continuously make gains and you will have something that most athletes never achieve, and that's longevity. And finally, let's talk about recovery. Now, recovery is vital. Recovery to me is the most important part of training for at least high-level athletes, because high-level athletes, you never have to corral or encourage to get in the gym. Typically, you got to chase them out of the gym. Recovery is the time where the muscles grow, where in the gym is the time where we tear the muscles down. If we never let the muscles grow, if we never let the nervous system adapt, what the fuck are we doing? Ask yourself that, really think about it. What's the point? I thought you wanted to get better. I thought you wanted to make gains. What are you doing? And if that triggers you a little bit, get the journal out, write it down, answer the question. Let me know below, because I care and I want to know. And I love having these conversations with athletes and with coaches. It's a lot of fun to watch athletes come through this process, gain and make gains that they wanted to physically, but see huge change outside the gym as well, because that's what happens when we get in tune with our body, when we get in tune to our health, and we start giving ourselves what we need. Now, I want to thank the coach who brought this to my attention and really encouraged me to do a video like this. And his name's Bill Schaefer, and he gave me a quote. He did a quote, and we were just going back and forth about this, that I thought was just beautiful, that he shares with his athletes, and I want to share it with you because I'm sharing it with my athletes. And this quote is, take a few moments in the parking lot to evaluate your mental state. Are you ready to run like a husky? Or do you have to take a deep breath and twist your own arm to get mentally up? The body needs to be glad to work out. There is so much wisdom in this quote because the body knows what it needs and the body wants to work with you to reach your goals. But so many athletes and so many people in our community see their own body as their enemy. That it's the reason that they're overweight, or it's the reason they have no energy, it's the reason that whatever, fill in the blank. But that's not true. When our bodies are given what they need, when homeostasis takes over, your body wants you to reach your goals. Keep that in mind, guys. Let me know how this hits in the comments, and until next week.